How many of you remember April 20th, 2010? What's that, Pastor Frank? Deepwater Horizon blew up. Deepwater Horizon blew up. Now, a few days before that, there was an earthquake in Georgia Sound up in Alaska. The day that Georgia Sound earthquake happened, I received the anger of the Lord. And I did because it came out that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, went into our White House to visit with our president to talk about the division of the land of Israel. You want to push God's buttons, start talking about Israel and dividing his land. His land, his land. Or the apple of his eye, Jerusalem. Oh, you want to get God's buttons pushed and see where patience comes down faster and the hammer of God comes out. Because Isaiah 40 says, comfort ye, my people. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. Tell her that her warfare is accomplished, that she has received double for her sins. No one's going to put it back on him again. God's saying, He's defending him. Why? It's also his bride, right? I'm giving you so much. There are two brides that are in the body of Christ. One is the church and the other one's Israel. He said to Israel, who's told you that I have divorced you? Right? So we're on a parallel path to come to the marriage supper. You ain't getting there without Israel, church. All those replacement theologians, they're not going to be at that table. They're going to be in some replacement theology wondering, where'd it go? What happened? Because they're not going to be able to kiss the Jewish king with Jewish lips. Okay? My wife's saying reset. Hey! So we understand Deepwater Horizon. I saw that come across, and they said that Benjamin Netanyahu was scorned by the president. He was left in a room, embarrassed, sent back to his people to try to affect an election. And how many of you know that through this country, money went against him to try and defeat him in Jerusalem? I don't think you know the plot that was in place to bring us the curses of God upon this country. That happened. It doesn't seem like a lot of money to us. It was $500,000, but to Israel, that's a lot of money in an election campaign. And now we're talking about foreign interests in our elections. It's like, what? God's saying, what are you talking about? So, having said that, I got angry. And the Lord said, son, prophesy to the north and to south. And say it across this great span of this great country that I will shake the north and then I will shake the south. And will call to deep, and I will call from the deep, and I will show disaster. So I preached it. I spoke it at a church, El Rey Jesus, down in Florida. I declared it openly. And Sunday night, Georgia Sound, boom! I said, there it is in the north. Wednesday, April 10th, 20. On 210, Deepwater Horizon blows up. Deep calls it deep. Boom. I said, God's angry. God's angry. And then he said, son, prophesy and say, I will not stop that well from spewing out from the bottom of the earth until my son is received back where he belongs and they take their hands off my land. I prophesied it. 7,000 people. So they kept trying to stop that well. They tried to stop it. They tried to cap it. All the king's men and all the king's horses. Couldn't do anything about it. Millions and millions and millions of dollars, scientists, engineers, geophysicists. And I laughed. I said, God is laughing. Waste your time and your money. I said, it's going to happen by the word of the Lord. So then all of a sudden, after all those days, Benjamin Netanyahu gets invited back to the White House. This time he's received by the president and first lady. At the door, walked into a place and taken up to where he belonged in the Oval Office for a chat. They sat down and I said, we will be like flies on the wallpaper. We're going to know exactly what happened in that meeting, because if he backed off and made peace with this man, took his hands off the land, God's going to stop that well. If he did not, that well's going to keep going. And I said, and God will stop it within 7 days. 6 days later, the well stopped.